The elevator pitch. Our textbook does not discuss elevator pitches comprehensively. It has a short blurb on it in the section on marketing, and yes, it is part of the marketing of your firm or your idea or even yourself. But I decided that I would take a different approach, a sort of a shotgun approach, and on the table on eLearn, I listed all those essential elements that our textbook says you can find in elevator speech. Then I found an article called How to Write an Elevator Speech, and it had some 6 elements to it. No, pardon me, 8 elements to it. Then there was another one called 3 Simple Steps to a Killer Elevator Speech. And then another article was 6 steps for writing a powerful elevator speech. And then the last one was 7 tips for a perfect elevator speech. So there's a lot of help out there for you in doing this particular assignment. But don't get buried in reading thousands of them. What you want to do, well, what I did was I went through this table that I prepared, and I looked for common elements. For example, building a dream, it talks about a hook. How to write an elevator speech talks about a grabber. And then the 7 tips to a perfect elevator's pitch talks about grab the person's attention. So there are common elements to it. And what I've done is summarize those. And if you're looking at the lecture guide on this, it starts off with a really cute picture of a guy about to get in an elevator and a baseball comes shooting out because, after all, that's a pitch, right? But in fact, the term actually comes from something to do with elevators, apparently. One of the ideas was that, there we go, Otis, the fellow that is well known for elevators, had an idea for a break in an elevator because if the elevator ever starts to fall, disaster strikes. So he actually did a pitch. He had an elevator built at a fair, and it would fall, and his brake would stop it. And that was one suggestion that the term elevator pitch comes from. And then there are others out there too, but who cares where it came from, really? Let's look at the definition. An elevator pitch, elevator speech, or an elevator statement is a short summary used to quickly and simply define a person, profession, product, service, organization, and or event, and its value proposition. So in other words, I have a product. What is its value over and above the competitors? I am a professional. What is my service value that is better than my competitors? That sort of thing, right? Okay, so you can read the elevator pitch, which reflects the idea that it should be possible to deliver a summary in a time span of an elevator ride. I have a humorous story. Well, I think I told that about the guy that gets in the elevator with the cell phone, but I won't go into it here. I think I told it in my other lecture. Anyway, going to slide number, I believe that's 4. I went through the tables and I took out the common factors. And hook or grabber was in 4 out of 5 of them. Who you are was in 3 out of 5 of them. Distinguishing yourself was 4 out of 5. What problems do you solve? 4 out of 5. And then less important as far as those authors are concerned was the call to action. And then only 2 out of 5 mentioned practicing the problem or the pitch. And then I found out that 2 of them suggested you spend a lot of time editing and organizing, and then only 1 out of 5 asked a question like, what do you do? So in other words, you get in, you're talking about yourself, and then you say, and what do you do? And I've put a line through that. I, in my personal opinion, the last thing you want to do is get the person that you're in the elevator with talking about what they do. what you want to do is introduce yourself and say, I'm in such and such a business. How about you? And they're all in such and such business. That's all you want them to say. Then you know if they're a target, okay? And then you do your pitch. So you can look at those common elements on the various articles, and you can see that those things should be in your pitch. Now, when you take Management 101, if you haven't, or if you have, you'll remember that they talk about noise in the communications process. And noise is anything that interrupts the flow of communications. Okay, it isn't just some noise in the background that makes it hard for somebody to hear. Noise is even worse in this particular day and age. I mean, number one, you get into the elevator now with another person, and in the pandemic, and they're on one side of the elevator and you're in the other, and you're both wearing these masks. Well, that's noise. It interferes with your ability to do your pitch. Number one, it's hard to hear. Number two, it's hard to get close. And then a common one in every day is cell phones. People are in there, they're texting, they're on their phone, and so it's really hard to zero in on somebody and do your pitch. And then there's the other kind of noise is you're obviously, when you start talking to someone, it's very apparent that they just don't want to hear from you. So these are things that you're going to have to deal with. But the whole point of an elevator pitch is it isn't always an elevator, okay? It's a bit of a misnomer. Yeah, it's designed to be able to deliver your pitch in the time it takes an elevator. But that doesn't mean that you have to go in an elevator every day to find your financing angel. No, what it means is take advantage of an opportunity, whether it's an elevator ride, whether you're sitting with someone having a cup of coffee at a counter in a restaurant waiting for a flight, or you're in the waiting lounge next to somebody about to take a flight. You've got an opportunity to talk to these people. The length, all the articles, it's all over the map. Some say 30 seconds only, some say between 30 seconds and a minute, and some say up to 2 minutes. For the purposes of our assignment, if you go over 2 minutes, you're cut off, and you'll lose marks. But anything up to 2 minutes will be fine. Okay, you have to tailor your elevator speech. When you get into a situation where you have an opportunity to talk to somebody, they're always going to be a banker and you're looking for money. No. They're always going to be a distributor and you're looking for some way to distribute your products. No. Everyone that you bump into is going to be a customer. No. So you have to really have a number of elevator speeches that you can tailor to a situation where you're looking for financing, or a situation where you're looking for a partner or a customer, that sort of thing. And so there's a nice cartoon here. It shows someone has a suit and it doesn't fit worth a darn. That's because the suit is designed to fit every type of person. And that's not what you want to do. You want to have your elevator pitch designed, made to measure for the potential client that you hope to bump into. Okay, so you have to have an arsenal of elevator speeches. And this cartoon, I love cartoons because good cartoons display life. Here's a fellow and he's talking. He says, I've got an elevator pitch, I've got an escalator pitch, and just to be on the safe side, I've got a stairway pitch. Which what it means is, in reality, is that he's tailored his pitches to take advantage of the situations that may occur. Okay, language and diction. Enunciation is important. If you sound poorly educated, you will not impress your audience. It reminds me of a cartoon where a young man comes home from his first day at the university and says to his parents, "Last week I did not know how to spell university student, and now I are one." Well, okay, if you're looking at the screen, university is spelled wrong, student is spelled wrong, and now I are one is grammatically incorrect. So what it means is you're not going to impress anyone if you don't speak clearly and grammatically correct. Some examples of what I'm talking about: a common mistake is saying anyways well, they were doing this, and anyways, we're going to do that. There is no such word in the English language as anyways. Okay, it's anyway. But it's a very common mistake, and it drives me nuts when I hear it. Um, and one year, a fellow did his presentation in class, and I called him on it. And he said, no, it's a word. And he immediately got on his phone, and he went, oh, because it isn't, all right? Saying my partner and me are starting a business is grammatically incorrect. And again, it's a common mistake, and it drives me nuts. And an easy way to get around that and figure out what the grammar is I would say my partner and I are starting a business. Well, think about it. Would I say, if I didn't have a partner, would I say me is starting a business? Or me am starting a business? No, I would say I am starting a business. So take the partner and whatever and think it through. The whatever is, get rid of the partner. I am starting a business. I wouldn't say me is starting a business. So that's an easy way to get around that one to remember. A common mistake Americans make, and I hear this all the time, is they say, he disrespected me. Oh. The proper way to say that is to say he is disrespectable in his treatment of me, okay? And that sounds much more formal, and gosh, it isn't, common usage and everything. But you have to remember that there are situations where a formal language it may sound somewhat strange, but it's expected by the other person. And I'll get a little bit more to that in a second, but also refrain from using the word like. Like just like the other day, like he told me like he had like a really good like idea. It's a crutch to allow you an opportunity to think about what it is you're going to say, I think. And it becomes a habit, and like it just like doesn't like sound professional like. So try to get rid of that. And we also have to have better enunciation. We tend to say for instead of for, and we tend to say to instead of to. And I'm trying to go to the store is quite complicated. To go to the store is quite complicated. I asked him for his business plan instead of I asked him for his business plan. And the next screen, there's a cartoon there about a lawyer approaching the judge. And obviously that's a situation where formal language is required. If the lawyer said, my client is like an awesome family man, and the judge said, but he killed 5 people or whatever, hello, you would wonder what was going on. So you, and I think in an elevator, you want to use formal language because you don't know this person. I mean, if you meet your friend in the cafeteria, hey, let's go for a coffee. Where? Let's go to Tim Hortons is fine. But when you're in a business situation, you don't want to do that. You want to enunciate. The reason for enunciating, if you use contractions like can. Did I say can or did I say can't? All right. If you weren't listening and not expecting it, you wouldn't know what I said, and I've missed an opportunity to communicate. So I would say, and I do that when I'm lecturing, actually. I catch myself. I'll say, well, you can't do that. And then I say, you cannot do that, because I know half the students heard me say can do that, and the other half heard me say can't do that. So this is your only chance to communicate. You don't want to miss it. Okay. Practice. Now, when I looked at that list of things that are common to all business elevator pitches, there were very few of them said practice, but I think it was because the other people just took that to be intuitive or obvious. You're not going to prepare an elevator speech and then say, good, I've got that, and then say, oh, what did it say? How did I start? Obviously, they figured that if you developed an elevator speech using the hook and, and make sure you talk about the value proposition then obviously you're going to practice it, okay? Because it must sound genuine and fluid. This is what I talk about when I say you have to be fired up and ready to go. President Obama, when he was first running for the presidency, was relatively unknown. And he was leaving Congress because he was a congressman, not a senator. And he got on the plane. He sat down next to another congressman and he said, "Hello, my name's Barack Obama. I'm running for president. I hope I can count on your support." And that person said, "Oh, well, you come to my constituency and talk to my group of workers sometime during the campaign, and yes, I will support you." So he made a point of it during the campaign to actually go to the small, way out in the middle of nowhere constituency in Virginia. And he got there and he was suffering from a cold and his campaign wasn't going great. And he had to get up at 4:30 in the morning to get in the car to drive for this breakfast meeting. And it was pouring rain, as I said. And he gets in, he walks into this meeting and there's like 20 people there. And he thinks, oh my God, like, what can I do to inspire these 20 people when I'm feeling this rotten? And all of a sudden from behind him, he heard, "Are you fired up?" And he said he jumped and he looked around and there's the campaign manager for this congressman. And it was a woman, and she said, "Are you fired up and ready to go?" And the 20 people said, "Yeah, we're fired up. We're ready to go." And she said, "No, come on, are you fired up and ready to go? Are you fired up and ready to go?" And pretty soon these 20 people are saying, "You're fired up. Yeah, we're fired up. We're ready to go. We're fired up and ready to go." And Barack Obama was taken aback by this. And then later in the campaign, after he got the nomination for his party and he was going up against John McCain, it got down to 2 states, Florida and Virginia. And he did. Both of them decided they didn't have enough time to go to Florida, so Virginia was the key state. And McCain went to Virginia. He stood up and he went, "Hi, my name's John McCain. I'm running for president. Please vote for me. Hi, my name's John McCain. Please vote for me. Hi, my name is John McCain. Please vote for me." Barack Obama, when he went there, started telling this story. And I'm going, what? Like, what? Like, he's wasting an opportunity. Ask for them to vote for you. And he told the story about how his campaign was flat, how he was flat. But these these 20 people in West Virginia got him fired up and ready to go. And then he ended by saying, "Thank you, Virginia. Thank you, Virginia." Imagine that. He's thanking them for getting them to where he is now. Well, everybody wanted to get him farther. And so he actually did a lateral move there and said, rather than just ask for the vote, tell them that they got me to this point in time. And he was so passionate and he was so fired up, and he compared himself to those 20 Virginians that were fired up and ready to go, and he wins the election and he becomes the president of the United States. So fired up and ready to go, it doesn't mean you have to grab the person by his lapels in the elevator and say, "I want you to invest in my company." No, obviously, but you can't stand there and go, "We got a really good product, and and it's got a valued proposition that's it gives an advantage of our business over another business, and if you're interested, I could give you my business plan." Nobody's going to listen to you if you don't believe in your product. If you don't believe in your service, you'll never get anyone else to pay any attention to it at all. So you have to be fired up and ready to go. You don't have to go over the edge, okay, but you have to show passion in what you're doing. Anyway, that's a cute cartoon on slide 10. Hold the elevator. I have an elevator speech to practice. The point is you practice it until it sounds genuine and fluid and passionate. Okay, in summary and conclusion, you're going to have to do a 30-second to 2-minute elevator speech on your business concept and what the value proposition is there. And you have to say this, and you have to sound passionate about it. So now I'm going to take into consideration here that a lot of my students are from India, and English is their second language. All right, and that puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage, when I'm trying to listen to the speeches because um, you may not have the same command of the English language as other students. But think in two things here. Number one is you probably know the grammar better because you had to learn it um, a little more carefully, okay? And so the English students will be making all those grammatical errors that I talked about. And also that I'm cognizant of the fact that this is your second language, all right? And that makes a difference. Um, so I'm not going to penalize you because you may not understand English quite as well or be able to speak it quite as well as the other students. Um, I know that for a fact because I have two daughters and they are both trilingual, English, French, and Spanish, and I'm still struggling to learn English. When I went to law school, I had a law textbook in this hand and I had my English grammar textbook in that hand because I had not spent enough time in my earlier education doing English grammar and spelling. Okay, so I'm going to take that into consideration. So you have to do this speech. Here's how we'll do it. Um, in years gone by in the classroom, you would actually have 30 seconds to 2 minutes to do your speech in front of the group. And that puts a lot of pressure on you. We cannot do that in COVID, and trying to do a Zoom session like that would be a nightmare. So what you're going to do is you're going to videotape your elevator pitch and email it to me. I will view it and mark you accordingly. Now, hey, good. All the pressure's off, right? No, it isn't, because you'll have to practice a lot before you can actually stand in front of your camera and videotape yourself without really making a lot of mistakes. Starting my lecture guides. At the beginning, I probably try to get into it about 4 or 5 times and erase them until I get fluid and begin to get the flow. So that's what you're going to do. You'll upload them, and then I will mark you and give them back to you, along with the marking guide. And if you want to know exactly how you're going to be marked, I have in the marking guide and rubrics file uploaded to eLearn. It's in there so you can have a look at it. All right, that is it. Summary and conclusion. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to getting your pitches.